All right, welcome back to New Little Life. My name's Allison, although I'm sure you've been here before. Today, we get to talk to another member of our Working Moms program, and I'm so excited to talk with her today because she has been on a journey. She's past that year mark and still going strong, and she's been through a lot. I think anything you think can happen has probably happened here. And so, this is going to be a really good conversation. Alexis has done such a wonderful job, especially as a first time mom, and I'm so proud of her. It's been fun to work with her and get to know her and to kind of see her journey progress. So, I'm not going to talk much more on this one here. I really want you to meet her. So, welcome, Alexis. So nice to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me again. So excited to be able to come on and share my journey with everybody. Definitely been a whirlwind this last, well, I think we're almost at 14 months now. So it's,
Awesome.
it's
Can you just start at the beginning? Like tell us who you are. This is your first little baby girl. Just give us a little intro and then feel free to start at the beginning and go from there.
yeah, for sure. So basically, of course, I'm a first time mom. My overall pregnancy was just crazy. We found out probably about at week 12 that she had a congenital lung defect, which made things a whirlwind of just emotions and, where do we go from here through doctor's appointments and crazy things. Things that we don't expect as a first time mom, that was not even where we were expected to go and all of that. But um, after two fetal surgeries and I think it was like 3 or 4 days of being induced and laboring. And then we finally, got to meet her. And we had to have like a urgent C-section, but not emergency. It was kind of a code yellow, not a code red. So um
Not fun.
uh
Mhm.
yeah, oh yeah. So things were crazy even from the time that she came into the world. I immediately had to start pumping because I didn't even actually get to see her until after my C-section, and she was in the NICU. And so, like, after all of the recovery had finished, and honestly, I had such great nurses in the hospital. They started me off hand expressing before I even realized what was going on. So they were really great about it because we just kind of talked beforehand, and I was really expressive about wanting to try to breastfeed her, and they were just really all hands on deck when it came to that. So from there, she spent about 4 weeks in the NICU, which was strenuous because the condition that she had, she wasn't technically able to drink my breast milk at all. So she had to have like be on this special formula, and then the hospital had to go through the process of skimming my breast milk. So that was fun.
Ugh,
So I
no.
didn't really get, yeah, yeah. I didn't even really get to, do the whole milk stash and things like that from the beginning. How a lot of moms are like, oh yeah, I got to save all this breast milk. No, that wasn't a thing because every drop counted when it came to her milk to be skimmed. So she was on skim milk for a few weeks. I think it was about 2 weeks, a week and a half, or something like that, before she was able to fully like transition to full fat breast milk. And at that moment, we were already like 3.5, almost 4 weeks in the game, and she was getting ready to come home before I even got a chance to latch her for the first time.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah, and it was so awkward because the lactation consultants in the hospital would come and they would ask, "Oh, do you want to like try to nurse and things like that?" And I was like, "Yes, ideally, I would love to do that, but we are not at that point yet to be able to." And so having to kind of explain that to the lactation consultants was daunting, but we made it work. And even from there, the first lactation consultant I had that came into the hospital room with me, she immediately was like, okay, so do you want to try to pump now? And I was like, yeah, let's go for it. Why not? Right. And me not knowing in the back of my mind everything that's entailed in pumping. I'm like, yeah, you just throw the things on, right? And yeah, yeah, exactly. So of course, she didn't really do much as far as sizing. She just kind of looked at me and she was like, I think you're 27. Let's go with that. And I was like, okay. At this point,
Yeah.
right. I knew nothing really about like flange sizes and things like that because I had just started getting into figuring out, all the things that I need. I didn't even have a pump for home yet because she was born at 36 weeks. Yeah. So I had a couple more weeks to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh my word.
um,
Mhm.
right. So that she sized me in at 27. It took a little minute, but we got a couple drops of colostrum out, and that was cool. And she was like, okay, yep, that's perfect. And then she kind of showed me how to like wash all the pump parts and everything in the sink, and then went on about her merry way and kind of like left me to figure out everything on my own. And after a while, it was okay for the first couple days. It was really stressful and hard to like try to find a schedule to pump every 2 to 3 hours while she was in the NICU, but also have time to go down to the NICU to go see her because I wasn't fully comfortable pumping in the NICU yet. And I was like, I just kind of want my own privacy, you
Yeah.
know.
I hear that a lot
Uh,
from NICU moms actually, that juggling NICU visits and pumping and then like resting a little bit yourself is
mhm.
difficult. Yeah. It's a lot.
Oh yeah, it was very stressful. But eventually it got to a point where I was like, okay, I have to do what I have to do, and I don't have a hospital room to go to anymore. I can't just retreat when it's time. So I got comfortable really quick with the whole pumping aspect, and I was in that 27 for a while. For I think maybe her first 2 weeks of life before I had a consultant that came down to just check on me, and I was like, this is really painful. Like, I'm getting anxiety every night trying to pump while I'm at home. And like at that time, I didn't even know that Medela had changed like their whole setup with the pumping style because I was expecting to get, the old pumping style, the yellow one.
Yeah.
No. And so after a while, I kind of learned, a lot of people say maybe that's not the best option for a first time mom just because it's so strong. And you don't have anything, you don't know what settings you're on, and it's a whole thing. So that gave me a lot of anxiety. And just to add on to the postpartum depression and anxiety that was already there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I told that lactation consultant, I was like, this is really painful. I don't even want to get up in the middle of the night and when I go home to like actually try to pump or anything. So she was like, okay, well, let's just try sizing down to 24. And, you know, sizing down, that there was an immediate difference, right? My output was significantly more than
Good.
what it was
Yeah.
with a 27,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
after a while, we just kept going with that, and it was more comfortable. But I felt like there's still something missing. Like this should be more comfortable. Like I shouldn't feel like I'm in pain every single time. And like the engorgement was terrible. And one day I was just like, bump these hospital lactation consultants. I'm just gonna go try to figure this out on my own. And me digging through YouTube and TikTok and all the things, and then I came across your page, and I was New Little Life just kind of had me in. It had all of my time, all day, every day,
I
trying
hear
to
that a
figure
lot.
things
It's a real
out.
rabbit hole over there on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And I was just so thankful to be able to find the community to just give me a like get me grounded and kind of find out which way to go. So I stuck it out with that 24 for a while until I just couldn't do it anymore. And one day, I was in that TikTok rabbit hole again and found this mom that was like pumping massive amounts. And I was like, why doesn't my output look like that? Right.
Yeah.
Um, and she was like advertising this pump that was like on pre-order on Amazon. And I was like, I'm gonna try it. So I bought it, and that was the first time that I had ever gotten a pump that came with like flange inserts. And
Hmm.
it came with a 20 millimeter insert. And I was like, let's try this and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Of course, by this time I still had not tried to size myself or anything. So then we went down to the 20, and that was working for a while. Um, and then everything just kind of came to a halt because my husband, he got a new job. Well, he got a promotion in his job, which then forced us to relocate to a new state. And I was still on maternity leave while all of this was happening. And I was like, the little bit of freedom stash that I had, we were not 100% sure that it was going to make it from Washington State to Nashville, Tennessee. So,
Yikes. Yeah. That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
that's a journey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, we gave Zariah basically throughout the last couple weeks that we were there, tried to like
Mhm.
implement the frozen milk into her everyday life because I was only nursing her really at night, and she was having bottles like during the day. Um, and once we got to Nashville, she was completely 100% exclusively breastfed, like no bottles, nursing around the clock. It
That's
was,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it was awesome. And that just bond was everything to me. Um, but I think my biggest struggle overall is that I didn't have necessarily the greatest support system around breastfeeding and nursing my baby just because my husband's family, like, he's never seen breastfeeding before. His family, his mom and his grandmom never breastfed, but like my mom was really supportive because that's what she did for me and my other two siblings. So being in that era of being able to fully exclusively breastfeed Zariah and that being the one thing that I wanted to be able to do was also I was like kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because I didn't have anywhere to turn at home. And there was only so much, guidance that my mom could do from afar because she's still not close, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I struggled with that a lot. And then um, came time for me to go back to work.
Yeah, I know
So
this is the point. And it's crazy because you've already been through so much. It's been such a journey up until here. And then the back to
yeah.
work transition is a whole new ball game. Yeah. What was it like when so she was nursing at the breast 100%. Amazing
Hmm.
job, by the way. That is not an easy thing that you just kind of glossed over there. Ton of work went into that, I'm sure. What was it like when you went back to work and started having to pump a little bit more again?
Yeah, so that was very stressful because with transitioning jobs, um, there was only a week between the time I found out that I got my new job to when I started working.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's try to implement some pumps during the day while she's napping. No, I don't have that kind of baby. As soon as she heard a
Yeah.
pump, she smelled milk. She instantly woke up.
Oh, that's funny.
And she was all over it. But once I did get back into work and I'm like away from her and she's in daycare, um, I mean, I would say that I had a pretty average output. I was getting about anywhere from like 2 to 3 ounces every 3 hours or so. Um, but that was stressful for me because when she's away from me at daycare, she acts like the world is going to end and she needs all the milk. It's like she's going through a famine or something. So that was really stressful because by that point she was drinking like 4 ounces in a sitting. And I'm like, I'm only making like maybe 3 ounces every time that I pump.
Yeah.
Um, so that just kind of made it difficult for me because I'm like, I feel like I'm not giving her everything that she needs. Not to mention adding on the stressors within my work environment. I'm like, I generally work a very stressful job in general. So you have that, and then it's like, okay, I can't really stress because I need my body to be able to
Yeah.
work and produce
Such
milk.
a hard thing. Just stop stressing and then everything will be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, but it went through basically like 3 job changes in order to get to one that I'm just kind of like comfortable enough and was able to like produce everything that I needed, and she's fully happy and content, and I don't have to worry about my supply and everything like that. So it was a rocky journey just to be able to pump comfortably at work.
Yeah, you bet. How old was your little one when you joined our program? Do you remember?
She was right around 6 months, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of made you decide this is enough? Like I need help. I need more because this is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So it came down to just being in a new environment, like everything just being new. And I'm like, I know that I know how to pump, but pumping outside of home is just not working. It's not efficient. I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to pump for 30, 45 minutes sometimes. And I'm like, I can't spend 45 minutes trying to make
Yeah.
barely enough. And so I'm like, I need to reach out to somebody and I need to find help. And I was like, I just kept coming back to your videos on YouTube over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I genuinely feel like this is the right place for me to be. And I just took a leap and just threw my name in the hat. And I was like, I'm going to go for it and we'll see what happens because she hasn't steered me wrong so far.
Oh,
So
good.
we're just going to keep pushing. Yes, we're going to
Good.
keep pushing and just kind of go from there and see, just get a little bit more information, see if, I am a good fit for the program, if the program is a good fit for me. And as soon as like I did the intake interview and consult and everything, and I got into it, I was just like every night I think I was up until like midnight, just looking at the videos, looking at the courses, and I'm like, I have to figure everything out.
I
Like
know it's a
this
lot.
ends today. Yeah.
Hmm. Good.
So
Yeah. Were you
yeah,
able to
once I
see some
got the
improvement? Wait, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were
oh
you
no,
able to see
you're
some
fine.
improvement as you kind of got going into it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, like even some of the things just as far as okay, let's try a different type of flange. Like maybe you'll respond better to a silicone flange over a plastic flange. Like different things like that, and realizing that okay, if I use a silicone flange, then I can use this particular flange size versus the hard plastic, then I need to use it. It was a whole whirlwind, but like once I got comfortable and just went through all the courses and found kind of like what worked for me, it was a lot of trial and error, but ultimately, had I not had this resource at my fingertips, I don't even believe that I would have made it to a year,
Oh,
let alone past a year.
yeah, you're
six
still
months, we
going.
would
It's
have been.
amazing. Yeah. And that's so funny too, because when we talk to people on that initial application call, because we don't accept everybody. If this program is not actually what you need, we'll tell you. Or if,
Mhm.
we're not a good fit to work together, we'll tell you too. But um it's so funny. A lot of moms have that like 12-month goal, like I'm just going to do this to avoid formula and then I'm switching over. But so many get into your place where it actually becomes doable in their life, and then
Hmm.
they hit that 12 months, and then they hit 13, and then they hit 14, and they're like, I'm
Yeah.
still going, I guess. And I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that it fits in your life and you can keep doing this as long as you and your baby want to. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, that was really kind of my goal. Even in the initial intake call, I was just kind of like, I think I want to do a year, but ultimately, I'm leaving it up to her. Whatever she wants to do, I'm cool. I'm good with it. Like, we can go as long as your little heart desires, but just making it over that hump of like the 6 months, 6 and 9 months. I think those two eras, like 6 months and 9 months, were the hardest just because there were so many changes happening. Um, I think like right now our biggest struggle is the fact that she has like 8 teeth in her mouth and she's very curious as to what these little chompers can do, and I'm like, that's not okay.
No,
But
we're not
she yeah,
doing that.
yeah, but
Mhm.
ultimately, I mean, she's still thriving, growing well. And I mean, it is no longer a chore for me to just, step away and then pump and then go right back to whatever it was that I was doing with my daily routine.
I'm really curious what flange size you ended up in after all of your experimenting. What was it? I'm assuming it was not 27 where you started.
Yeah, no, not at all, not even close.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so right now I kind of go back and forth between a 17 and a 19.
Okay, yeah.
It just kind of depends on the time of day, really. Like in the morning times, I'm really comfortable in a 17, but like towards the end of the day, it's like, okay, I need to move more into like a 19. And so that's just kind of where my sweet spot is. And we just roll with it. And it's gotten me through a lot this far, and to the point to where now I've even like started spreading out my time between pumps, and I'm like at 2 pumps in a day while I'm
Yeah.
away, and I'm like 5 hours apart, right?
Mhm.
And I thought it was going to be so difficult, just to kind of space it out. That gave me a lot of anxiety because I was so used to like 3 hours on a dot every single day, and I'm like 4 hours, 5 hours, and but we're making it. We're pushing through in hopes to eventually get down to 1 pump during the day while I'm at work. Um, but I don't know how great that will go just because when I am with her, she's like full on. She shows no signs of stopping.
Right.
So,
I love
um,
it. Yeah. You
so yeah,
you
but
highlighted some really interesting points here. Kind of the fact that you kind of switch franchises throughout the day, like that
mhm,
I love it. And I love that you know your body enough to be able to do this on your own. Like that actually wasn't advice from me. You figured that out based on
yeah,
what you knew about your own body. Same with your pumps, kind of like spacing them out and realizing like this is what my milk supply can do. This I understand enough to be able to kind of troubleshoot this on my own and figure this out. I think it's been a little bit since we've kind of like chatted and you pop in when you
hmm
have questions and things. At this point, I mean, we chatted more in the beginning, kind of figuring all that out, but I love that you understand your own body so much now that you can make this work for you. And that's one of my
yeah,
biggest goals. So I love to hear when you're kind of doing these things based on what you learned and just making it
right.
work. So, so cool. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was difficult in the long run, but I'm here now, and I'm like, this is what works. Even something as simple as like differences in the differences that the actual pump makes. Like it really got to a point to where my medulla just kind of clunked out on me one day, and I was like, okay, well, um, I went through so many pumps thinking that that was going to fix my problem. And ultimately, it was so much more beyond the pump, right? It's more about like being intuitive with your body, like, being able to troubleshoot when things are taking a turn, and just not being afraid to do it ultimately. When you see something that needs to be troubleshooted, just taking the time to say, okay, let's figure this out, right? Like, I'm very much into doing research and going to find my answers wherever they may be. And I'm like, I find myself all the time, even now, just going through and searching through the course, like, what about this thing and how can we make this better? Or, you know, especially, I've just become one of those people that's like a pump hoarder. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but now that I've kind of established my milk supply, I feel like I can play around with different things. I'm like, I have all of them, so why
Yeah.
figure out how they work? So I spent a lot of time in like the comparison worksheet trying to figure out my similar settings on the different pumps that I have. And I think that's really cool, and it gives me something to look forward to do while I'm actually pumping.
Yeah.
Uh, Keeps it exciting and new.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's always fun for me to see when people come in like you with a ton of anxiety around pumping. Like, I hate this. It hurts. I'm up at night dreading the next time I have to pump. To like looking at you right now where you're like pumping's kind of fun, and now I'm like playing with my pumps and looking over here at data, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a stark difference from where you started, and really speaks well to the point that, like you said, there's more to pumping than just like putting on a pump and going. Not only do you kind of
Yeah.
have to do the rest of it right, but there's a lot of mental and emotional aspects to this as well. And you've been up and down, your job's changed, and milk's adjusted, and your baby's teeth, got
Mm-hmm.
teeth now, and like it's a lot. And so I think, I don't know. That's why I built this program the way. I want you to have support forever and as long as you need. And when you're ready to cut it back to one pump, I want you to know exactly where to go, either in our curriculum for some answers or come and ask some experts because you're busy. Like, you don't have time to be Googling through TikTok and YouTube and being like,
Yeah.
where's the answer to my unique question? You know, you
Yeah.
kind of mentioned two big aha moments while inside the program. Advice that I gave another mom maybe to add a pump on the way home from work.
Yes.
What was
Okay. That one,
Yeah.
that one, the pump on the way home from work and to work was just kind of like the icing on the cake. It just took it all to the next level. And, I didn't even think about that, right? I'm like, this is weird. Like, this is awkward. Like, who wants to have on a pump while we're trying to drive? And it was kind of weird the first time. And then I'm like, okay, are people staring at me through my car window? But then I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't really care because one, you shouldn't even be looking in my car that hard.
Yeah.
And two, like I have to do what I have to do. And that was like a pivotal turning point for me. Like just adding those two pumps on the way to work and on the way home took my supply from being like barely enough to more than enough.
And I think, was this
Um,
on like a group, like one of our weekly group calls? I think I was talking to somebody else even,
yes,
right?
yes, it was. And like I had just randomly watched the recording of one of them and I was like, that may work. Let me try that.
Mhm.
And that was a game changer, ultimate game changer. And it's one of those ones that like you don't even have to think about it. You just kind of you're going on about your everyday life and there's no stress surrounding the output that you're going to get while you're pumping to and from work. It's just kind of like a part of your routine and you just do it and then you pull up at work and you're like, oh, hello,
Yeah.
there's some milk there. Um,
This is one of my favorite
so
parts of our program is getting to work in a group-based setting. And this is actually a part that scares some people at the beginning, being like, whoa,
mhm.
I don't know if I want to be. But I'm like, please trust me, you do. Like
Yeah.
these
Oh
women,
yeah.
And I am committed to keeping our program very specific. And I hate that I can't serve everybody, but I can't. And so we will continue to have just working moms who are doing exactly what you're doing all together because there's so much benefit every single week when I'm talking to our group. The next person gets on and they're like, "You were just saying something to her that made me think, like, what about this for me?
Mhm.
And how can?" And I love it. You're all unique in your own little ways, but also not. And there's a lot of benefit of doing this in a group style setting like this. You can learn from other moms, take the chunks that work for you and make it work. I don't know. Did you enjoy the group aspect like that?
Yeah, definitely. um, Even to the point now, like I've put the weekly calls on my calendar and I still just am like, oh yeah, we have a weekly call. And then of course something happens and I'm like, the weekly call notification comes through and then I look again and it's gone. And I'm like, I didn't even get to hop on, so I have to watch the recording. But even the recordings give you like that feel of being able to still have that group, even though you're not fully in the conversation, being able to just go back and look at it and see what the conversation was and being able to take things from that is like priceless to me. And then, the community, if you have questions, just pop them in the feed and then everybody is like super responsive. Even the moms in the group just coming through and like, even giving their little comments and commentary about, oh yeah, like this works for me and I tried this and just the feel of having a community there behind you and we're all trying to reach the same goal and just be the best moms that we can be and be able to pump efficiently and effectively for our babies is just amazing.
And you mentioned that you don't have necessarily this support at home. I mean, I'm sure your partner is supportive of you and what you want to do, and but even if you have a really supportive partner, just nobody can understand the work
Yeah.
and the brain space of what you're doing like other women that are doing the exact same thing. And it's a lot of people say that that's one of their favorite parts at the end, even though it was a little when they were deciding whether to join or not, they were like, I don't know. Almost all of them at the end
Mm-hmm.
are like, okay, yes, this is, I needed that. That was a thing I didn't know I needed kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. Like even on that aspect, like my mom, she would always tell me, you need to find some people that you can talk to about all of this. And she's like, it's been over 20 years. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, she's so
So just,
sweet. Oh, I'm glad she encouraged you to do that. That's really lovely.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And so just having that, even something as simple as, like me and my coworker were chatting. Both of us are pumping at work right now, and so we're just kind of like, what do we do with our pumps when it's all said and done? That's like been gently used because like we're not supposed to share them, but at the same time, like we don't want to just throw them away. So like even that, I was like, I should put this in the feed and like get some feedback and see where we should go from here with all these extra pumps we have. But yeah,
Yeah, it's super fun. How's your work kind of environment been? I know you've switched jobs multiple times, but any
yeah.
struggles there?
Not anymore. Like the the place that I am now, everybody on my team is super supportive of, all of the moms here that pump and they're like, take your time, do what you need to do. Um, like they make sure that our space is always clean. We always have the supplies that we need. Everything is to me, I feel like it's the most ideal space that I could have at work without it being my home.
Yeah.
And like I don't have any worries about, someone needing me when I have to step away for those 20, 30 minutes to go and take care of um, what I need to do versus before it was kind of like, okay, I'm stressing because I don't know if in the middle of my pump I'm going to get a phone call saying that I need this thing from you ASAP or Having someone, if I'm pumping in my office with my screen up, still trying to knock on my door and hand me assignments or trying to pass things underneath the door or still asking me questions. It's just comforting to know that that can be released and I don't have to worry about will I be able to do this uninterrupted and then be able to sit back down in my chair and do what I need to do.
Yeah, it can be stressful. It can make things so much harder. Not only are you trying to figure out pumping, maintain your milk supply, relax, you can get letdowns, do it in a time crunch. And then if your work is bothering you on top of that, it's just like
Yeah.
the opposite of icing on the cake. Like the nail in the
Mm-hmm.
coffin. Is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just like, dude, this is not sustainable. Yeah, that's really hard. So
Yeah.
what does it look like for you going forward? What are your plans now that you're at this 14-month mark and still kind of going strong?
Um, I just I'm playing it by ear, honestly. Um, Whatever Zariah feels is what she wants to do. It's kind of like where I'm going. I'm ultimately I want to get in the next probably around like 15 to 16 months if she's still going strong like she is. Try to get my pump down to about one time a day, or even no pumps during the workday and only like in the mornings and bedtime. That would
Yeah.
be ideal.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm just kind of going with the ebbs and flows of what she feels like she needs in the moment.
I love that. As we kind of wrap up here, what advice do you have for new moms? Like you're just coming off of as a first-time mom, looking back, like what's the best advice you could give someone who wants to give breast milk and has that long-term goal like you did?
Ultimately, I would just say just go for it. Anything that you see, if you feel like you want to try a new franchise, go for it. If you feel like, you want to reach out to other moms that may be going through something similar, put yourself out there. Don't limit yourself just because you feel like you need to fit into a box. And don't go down the TikTok rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so funny. And there's just anyone can make anything, including me. Like I can
Hmm.
put whatever I want wherever I want, but you have to it's so hard when you're thick in motherhood and you're struggling and now you're trying to weed out who to take advice from and does this apply to me or am I different or am I like it just
Hmm.
yeah, it's not a comparison game and we don't even do that inside our program. Like we're not comparing to anyone else. We're here to learn about you, what works for you, what you need to do and move on at that point. So could not agree more there. You can go down the YouTube rabbit hole on the New Little Life channel if you want, because
Yeah.
just kidding. Oh, it's so funny. You just have to find what you click with, but that's one of the reasons I love doing what I do, especially on YouTube, which is not always my favorite. I think I've said this before, but I'd rather be a blogger, just like behind my computer, like
Hmm.
typing and stuff. But YouTube is a great place for people to get to know me and my style. And if you resonate with that and you need some help, reach out. And I'll put a link up here on the screen too. If you want some help, like Alexus had, where she just had tried all the things and was kind of at her wit's end, just a step-by-step process and access to experts. That's what we do. But the nice thing about YouTube is that people that don't resonate with me or don't like my style can go find someone else too. And I love it, which is why our program is such a beautiful place for people like you who, fit in. And then you all end up kind of being the same kind of vibe and people. And it's such a wonderful place. So thank you so much for sharing your story and just your struggles. And you've been through so much. And again, I just have to say I'm so proud of you. And it's been honestly a pleasure to work with you the last 6, 7, 8 months. And it'd be fun to see you continue on and maybe be back again. Like you're here forever. So it'd be fun to kind of see where life takes you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for this program and I'm so happy to be able to come on today to share, all of my journey with everybody and to just kind of, put a little bit of light in another mom so that she can keep pushing forward.
I love that. We need more of it. It's hard. what y'all are doing is hard. And you can't do it. You're not supposed to do it alone. So find some help if you need it. There will be some notes and links and everything in the description, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on the podcast or whatever, to anything you need, especially if you want some help to go. There's more reviews from other members like Alexus if you want to hear some more stories. And hopefully we'll see you around soon. All right. Thanks, Alexis. It was so fun talking to you today. Bye.
Thank you.